In this week's Vaticano, Pope Francis confirms 44 Catholics in St. Peter's Square. This fellow Latin American speaks of the joy and responsibility that have come with the Argentinian Pope's election. And we meet a major church organization dedicated to migrants. Also, the Pope continues his year of faith catechesis at the general audience. This French bishop spearheads the promotion of reverence for the Mass. We then hear from the Vatican's youth group on its 30th anniversary. And this new cardinal comes from the other side of the globe to take possession of his church in Rome. All this coming up.
At this Mass in a packed St. Peter's Square, Pope Francis personally confirmed 44 Catholics at the end of April.
Remain steadfast in the journey of faith, with firm hope in the Lord. This is the secret of our journey. He gives us the courage to swim against the tide. Pay attention, my young friends. To go against the current, this is good for the heart, but we need courage to swim against the tide. Jesus gives us this courage. There are no difficulties, trials, or misunderstandings to fear, provided we remain united to God as branches to the vine, provided we do not lose our friendship with Him, provided we make ever more room for Him in our hearts. This is especially so whenever we feel poor, weak, and sinful, because God grants strength to our weakness, riches to our poverty, conversion and forgiveness to our sinfulness. The Lord is so rich in mercy. Every time, if we go to Him, He forgives us. Let us trust in God's work. With Him, we can do great things. He will give us the joy of being His disciples, His witnesses. Commit yourselves to great ideals, to the most important things. We Christians were not chosen by the Lord for little things. Push onwards toward the highest principles. Stake your lives on noble ideals, my dear young people.
At the conclusion of the Mass, some of the confirmed addressed the Pope on behalf of all.
Hoy nosotros vamos a decir al mundo que queremos ser cristianos, porque de eso se trata la confirmación. Es una ceremonia que se celebra una vez en la vida, que marca nuestro futuro, y lo mejor de esta ceremonia es que me acompañan las personas más importantes en mi vida, mi familia.
The Mass kickstarts a series of papal events in the coming weeks. Both confraternities and ecclesial movements will also celebrate the Eucharist with the Pope in the month of May. As part of the Year of Faith, the Mass for Confirmations provided an opportunity for thousands of youth and their elders to revisit the importance of the sacrament.
Well, to be confirmed means that the Holy Spirit will help you, if you want to give a witness to what is in you. So with the strength of the Holy Spirit, you can love. And as Pope said, even if the current streams in a society are not good, you can go even against these streams and show that it's worthy to live for love and to give a witness for this love in your world, in your family, wherever you live, in your parish, in your country.
There were more than 100,000 people there. Each took something special from the Mass.
He's always wonderful, and he is always something. It shows the novelty of the Holy Spirit working in such a simple way, with such a simple smile that touches your heart.
È emozionante, è un'esperienza magnifica perché lo senti proprio vicino.
Io mi sono sentita come quando tu lavi una cosa, che la metti in lavatrice quando è sporca e quando la tiri fuori è più pulita, così tipo. Viva il Papa! Ciao!
He's the first Latin American Pope in history, and the highest delegation of leaders of the Bishops' Conference of Latin America just came to congratulate him.
First of all, we wanted to greet the Pope, and it's a great pleasure to be able to speak with him and to congratulate him and tell him that he can count on us for whatever he needs. He knows us very well. He knows about our organization, Selam, of its fruits, and how it benefits Latin America. And of course, we are telling him what we're doing and also about our situation in different areas of the Bishops' Conference in this moment. I think the Holy Father is a wise man. Not only that he has a lot of knowledge, but from the perspective he has from being a pastor for so many years, especially in a big archdiocese. And that wisdom has been reflected in a series of abilities, like the manner that we are seeing now in the Holy Father, of how he touches hearts. It's not just about his doctrinal reflections or an academic proposal, but a way of doing things that makes people aware of an existential orientation that responds to their questions.
The Pope continues to make big impressions, now well into his second month on the job.
I think this Pope has arrived in a very important moment in the Church. I see him as a gift and a grace of God for the entire Church. I also think that, as a gift of the Church, this Pope has a lot to give to the universal Church, because the experience of the Church in Latin America is very rich. It's a very rich experience of faith. I think that from this experience, there's a lot to bring to the current moment in the Church.
People know that there is a possibility for another life, so they go for it. That is one reason for ICMC to exist. And I think that the Church, 62 years ago now, when we were created in 1951, already had that bigger vision of people will be on the move on a continuous basis. You had in earlier days the Europeans leaving for Latin America. You had earlier days people leaving for the US, for Canada, for Australia. Those movements were then a concern. What is happening to those people? How are they finding their lives? What is their integration level? How do we help and assist them? It is not, the main mission of the Church remains to accompany humanity. And that accompaniment translates also through an organization like ICMC.
The International Catholic Migration Commission, or ICMC, is perhaps one of the best kept secrets in the Church. Donor-funded, it advocates on behalf of refugees and immigrants worldwide, working particularly with international governments and the UN.
It was founded by Pope Pius XII in 1951, so that's 62 years ago. Then Archbishop Montini, later to become Paul VI, I believe, had an enormous amount to do with it. It's got a very distinguished record. Since then, the ICMC has helped to resettle about 1 million people in the United States. Now, by any standards, especially for the standards of a comparatively small church organization, I think that's a wonderful contribution.
You don't build an organization when there is no need, and the organization responds to needs. Migration is one of these issues in our world that is really fundamentally changing our social cohesion. Migration is something which is affecting all societies, wherever you go, whoever you talk to, and you can be for or against, but we all know that people have to be protected. People need levels of protection in order to be free when they move, in order not to be trafficked, not to be compulsed into labor, not to be in situations of dependence. So poverty, to come back to that word, poverty is a basis which was measured on a location. Today, poverty is moving.
The times have changed, and a major factor in this is the increased facility of travel, so that people can be moved about. Now, how would we help those who are caught up in this in all sorts of practical ways? We might, and we do, help those who want to escape out of the net, if we possibly can. For those who are there and want work, we try to identify responsible employers. We try to help them to find places where they can save a bit of money, get health care, perhaps even provide pensions for the future. We help them, those who want to send significant money home, we help them to do that at a price, the cost that's not exorbitant. So in 101 different practical ways that these unfortunate people need, we're there to help them.
After the break, we catch up with the Pope at the general audience and this French bishop who's promoting reverence for the sacred liturgy. Welcome back. You're watching Vaticano.
Pope Francis started his public events in May with this general audience. He called all believers to observe the month in a special way.
Primero de mayo, fiesta de San José Obrero.
Today, the 1st of May, the feast of St. Joseph the Worker, and the beginning of the month dedicated to the Virgin Mary, I would like to offer a reflection on two ideas. The first is on work. In the Gospel, Jesus is known as the son of a carpenter. In the workshop in Nazareth, he shares the effort with St. Joseph, as well as the fatigue, the daily problems, and the satisfactions. Work is a part of God's loving plan, and it gives dignity to the person. I never stop thinking about the difficulties that many nations have in the area of work. I ask all people that in the measure of their responsibilities, they make an effort to create work and give hope to workers. May St. Joseph, who lived the difficult moments and put his trust in God, who never abandons us, intercede for all of the workers of the world. I wish to speak also of the attitude of Mary and Joseph before Jesus. They accompanied and protected the growth of the Son of God with tenderness, knowing how to preserve and meditate all things in their hearts. In this month of May, I remind you of the importance and beauty of the prayer of the Rosary. With its recitation, we meditate on the central moments in the life of Jesus Christ, trying to make him the center of our thoughts, attention, and actions.
Atenciones y acciones.
The 2013 World Congress of Catholic Communicators is set for Beirut this fall. Here at Vatican Radio headquarters, the organizers presented the event, which seeks to promote media for a culture of peace.
First is a great challenge being there. The mere fact that the Congress is to be held in Lebanon is not only a challenge, but it is an exhilarating element. Because being present is, as the Patriarch told us when we were there in November, taking the decision to hold the Congress there, he said, this is Holy Land. And this is a place where Christians are so important, actually, because they are an element of peace and an element of dialogue.
Pope Benedict XVI said the same thing last September during his visit to Lebanon. He appealed to all peacemakers, saying, in a world where violence constantly leaves behind its grim trail of death and destruction, to serve justice and peace is urgently necessary for building a fraternal society, for building fellowship. The Catholic Communicators Association, Cygnus, is seeking to implement those words.
Cygnus is a World Association for Communication, World Catholic Association for Communication. It is, of course, the official, so to speak, association of the faithful, recognized by the Holy See, for the world of communication. But we are also an NGO and a member of UNESCO and the Council of Europe and so on. But we like to present ourselves as a network. We are a network of Catholic professionals who are making the Church present in the professional world of communication. And this is our major challenge. And this is what we do best, because what we do is bringing people together from all continents, from all countries. We are present in more than 100 countries. So we bring them together to collaborate, to exchange, and to extract that synergy, that combined energy that there is always in collaboration.
I think it's important that we support Catholic media in every part of the world. I think at the moment, by going to the Lebanon, Cygnus is making a statement of support for the structures of communications that exist there. And they are actually quite strong. So it's not as if we're doing something like we're coming and we're going to look at them. We're actually going to learn. We're going to see how they have managed to create very positive structures for communications in a difficult environment, but where they've also learned to work with other religions in a way that communications and media can serve to build peace rather than to be an instrument of division.
The Cygnus World Congress will be held in Beirut, Lebanon from October the 20th to the 23rd. This French bishop is putting together the final preparations for a major conference on the sacred liturgy this June. He took a moment to share his thoughts on the importance of the Mass and the guidance of the popes.
I think we are in a time of a new evangelization, but the source and the goal of a new evangelization is the adoration and the contemplation of God. And so liturgy is a central place for the mission of the Church. And during this session we receive different conferences and different cardinal bishops and experts to know more the central place of liturgy to develop the mission of the Church in the world now. Sometimes difficulties, but with Pope Benedict and after the Pope John Paul II, it was an orientation to found the mission in the sense of a Eucharistic mission and liturgical mission. And so it's traditional teaching of the Church, and with the documents of Council Vatican II, we have to express, to develop, to deep the sense of the liturgy in the evangelization, the new evangelization. And I think all the efforts of the Church now to announce Jesus Christ are very important, but the central thing is the primacy of the grace of God. And we receive the grace of God by the liturgy, by the sacraments. And so is to insist about this place of liturgy is the goal of this meeting, of this conference, of all the reflection we have to develop during these 3 days in Rome. The Pope Francis every day, and perhaps tomorrow I could participate to his Mass early morning, insists about this place of the liturgy in the mission. And during the liturgy there's a celebration of the mystery of faith. There's a time during the homily to transmit the faith and the content of the faith. And liturgy is the place where all the person could be together for celebrate the communion of faith. And so for all the dimension, the liturgy is as a central place in the mission of the Church. And I think the reflection and the magister of the new Pope Francis has to enter in the traditional sense of the liturgy. There is no changement. The evolution of a Church is to dig more and more that I have received from the tradition. Each Pope arrived with his own charism, his own personality, and the personality of the Pope Francis is a sense of freedom, of simplicity, of contacts. And I think during the liturgy, this expression is very important. You see, he speaks with for each day in the homily for all the services of the Vatican, and he develops very strong but simple homily. And I think it touched by his talk, and many persons are received the Holy Father and his teaching as a grace of God.
The 3-day conference on the liturgy will be taking place in Rome from June the 25th to the 28th.
In a bit, young people from a Vatican-affiliated youth group celebrate an important anniversary, and this Colombian cardinal receives his church in Rome. Welcome back. You're watching Vaticano.
Here, just off St. Peter's Square, is what could be called the Vatican's youth group. The Centro San Lorenzo is no longer as young as the majority of its visitors. It's marking its 30th year.
Cari amici del Centro di San Lorenzo, il 13 marzo.
Dear friends of the Centro San Lorenzo, the 13th of March, 1983, Blessed John Paul II inaugurated this International St. Lawrence Center. From that day, 3 decades have gone by. It has been a long road of service to the youth of the world, present in Rome for different reasons. Some have come on pilgrimage, others as simple tourists, and still others for their studies and eventually for work. This anniversary is an occasion for all of us to rediscover the important vocation and mission of this special place, and to thank the Lord for the wonderful works He has brought about and continues to bring about in the lives of so many young people who visit this center.
Giovani che visitano questo centro.
3 popes and 30 years on, the center continues to be a beacon of light for youth in Rome.
Coming here, the beginning, they are wondering what they are doing here, because some just came a little bit like this and they met a friend who welcomed them, and they didn't really use to come to Mass. And after little bit by little bit, we see young people open themselves, rediscovering the faith, and this is a beautiful thing that I can be testimony to here as a priest.
It's really a place of encounter, so it's a place where people can come together and encounter one another, young people from throughout the city, from around the world, and it's also an encounter with Christ. They're able to come here and meet Christ in the sacraments and learn about God in that way. One of the things that's so special about the city of Rome, about the center here being right outside of St. Peter's and World Youth Day, is the experience of meeting people from all over the world. Catholic, meaning universal. The church is universal. We see different cultures and how they approach the faith, different ways that people come to encounter God. And so meeting with people from France, from Spain, from Italy, it's just a great experience for me here at the center, and then again through World Youth Day.
This is the Roman Church of San Gerardo Mayella. Incredibly, its new shepherd is also the leader of the Catholics of Bogota, Colombia. Archbishop Ruben Salazar Gomez was here from the other side of the world at the end of April. He was taking possession of his titular see, as all cardinals do shortly after they are named. He received the red biretta when he was made cardinal by Benedict XVI more than 5 months ago. But he has only now been able to celebrate his first Mass here in the outskirts of the Eternal City. It was an extraordinary moment for the locals in what is an otherwise rather quiet suburban parish.
Cari fratelli e sorelle.
Dear brothers and sisters, every Sunday, when we gather together to celebrate the Eucharist, we come from our normal lives, our everyday existence. It's an existence full of joy and so many good things, but also made of anguish, fears, sorrows, and so many things that don't allow our hearts to be tranquil. We come precisely to receive the lights and the joy the Lord gives us.
The Cardinal is looking to use his new charge as a close collaborator to the Pope to rejuvenate missionary zeal here and back at home.
I think we need to give an example, as the Church, of the new evangelization and respond to the new challenges being posed to us today in society, in a world that is globalized and tends towards a progressive secularization. We have to be clear examples ourselves of what the evangelizing task of the Church is.
The Cardinal thus returns to Colombia, where he leads many more people in the search for holiness, justice, and peace.